Welcome! Welcome everyone to the Office Hours live stream. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, and I'd like to welcome you to the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? So CIG is pumping along. We'll talk a little bit about the tech preview here. I didn't get a chance to play, mostly because I timed it wrong. I would have been able to play, but there was also some other issues. Effectively, there's some problems with the blueprint system. Hey, Rapper Boss. Let me do this real quick. Tonight is Northern Lights time. Not where I live, but yes, generally speaking. How you doing, Lisa Jones, Robert Voss? Gonzo, Talendar. Let me pull up the whack. It's not thwack, it's twist. Hey, Wednesday, we're getting the November-December PU monthly report. Woo! Which means we're going to do the monthly report on or we're going to get the monthly report read on Monday. Why does it be negative 35 right now? Northern Lights would have been beautiful. Hey, Simon Wolf. All right. So, here's the deal. CIG did a tech preview for crafting. For once, they actually managed to make it on time. But as typical, there was a problem with the blueprint system itself. effectively, they don't know how to fix it right away, so they're going to delay it until a later time. So I wouldn't expect another tech preview until at least February. But personally, I always say this is a good thing because crafting or like tech previews in general always fail the first time they do it. So if they're confident enough to start testing, it means that they're getting some of the bugs out now so they can actually get to a tech preview that works. Basically, the earlier they do a tech preview, the better chance it has to actually come out the year it's been released. Or about crafting, I don't know what it'll be about, but almost certainly it's going to be about 4.6. Let's be real here. 4.6 is going live this week. Come hell or high water, 4.6 is coming out this week. The patch always pushes. Oh, are you Evocati now, Herbeck? Welcome to the shitty club. It's shitty. It's not as good as you think it is. Nice. Congratulations. Welcome. You are now a CIG shill because they have your name and address and your government name. Hey, yeah, sort of. Where's crafting, Astropub? You promised. It goes to another school. you wouldn't know her. I would not even try to get Evo access. A lot of people believe that, like, when... has a wipe been confirmed? No. No, there is no wipe, guys. Holy shit. All right, PSA time. CIG has not said anything about a wipe other than they would only do it once they have tracked down the exploits that currently exist in the economy, in the current economy. You're here for the crafting smut? Give it to you? Ooh, okay. I'm going to give it to you nice and easy. It's broken. But, and the good news, it's broken because the blueprint system is broken. Wipe tomorrow, yes. Question, did you watch the new Star Trek show? No. I didn't even, well, I guess I did. The last Star Trek show I actually watched was Star Trek Picard Season 1. And I stopped watching Star Trek. Partially because I take it back. Lower Decks. I watched all of Lower Decks. So no testing. We blew balls with blueprints. It was out for enough that you could get the crafting machine basically spawned, but it wasn't, the back end for the blueprint system wasn't working. I have mixed feelings about New Trek, because I think that this latest show is probably going to end up being okay. Because this is what the show lead for New Trek, Alex Kurtzman, this was the original show he wanted to make. Interesting story. Basically, they hired somebody from, I want to say, Star Trek Voyager originally. He was like a young producer on Voyager or on Enterprise, and to create Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. And they had some, basically they got through pre-production, they got through the initial pitches, but then they didn't see, or it was CBS or was it Paramount? I think it's Paramount. Whoever is the one that's in charge of modern Trek, I think it's Paramount, didn't like what they were doing. They created differences and they left the show. And so they hired Alex Kurtzman. Now the thing about Alex Kurtzman is that years before, Kurtzman had pitched a story of following cadets at Starfleet Academy. That was the original. There was actually a pitch for that. And the Paramount turned him down. And so when they needed somebody to replace the old showrunner, they pulled Kurtzman on because Kurtzman was still wanting to do Star Trek. So, so Kurtzman's been basically making shows he didn't care about until now. He was doing it so he could get the show he wanted, and he got the show he wanted. The tech preview went tech preview-tastic. Basically failed right at the beginning. Which is, again, a good thing, because almost no tech previews do well their first rounds. Now, the question is when do they come back? If they come back in a month, then they're on good pacing. But we've had plenty of tech previews that happen, and then, it's months go by before we see anything. So I'm hoping we get a little bit closer. They had writers and directors from TNG as well for Orville. The reality is, and this is going to sound blasphemous, but we don't need reboots of old franchises. We need new franchises. That's why The Expanse was so cool. Because it was a new idea, a new take on science fiction. And that time period, there was a lot of new experimental science fiction that was coming out. Most of it ended up flopping because sci-fi is really hard to grasp. It doesn't help that there's a lot of very, very weird folks in science fiction who are into science fiction, and it sort of turns off the normies from watching it. I've watched Orville. I watched Orville season 1. But there's plenty of if has anyone here seen Murderbot? It's based off of a book series. Great book series. I've read most of them, and before the show came out, and of course Scalzi has dozens of books that could be made into television series or movies that have never been made. Has any of his stuff ever been adapted? I'm sure it's been sold, but I don't think it's ever been adapted. There's been rumors floating around of Old Man's War coming out as a TV series or as a movie for years and never made it. Yeah, they're bringing back Stargate, but we're talking years of waiting for Stargate. It's kind of like the 40K series. They announced the 40K series, but the 40K series is going to take a decade to come out. It's why people have to make a story completely lived in. Too many of the sci-fi writers try to make a world, try and world build and rot a story into it. Oh, and write a story into it. Yeah, yeah. You're talking about world builders disease, where people try to build worlds and then go, okay, I'll make a world in it. It worked for Tolkien, but Tolkien had like full like scope. This is my own personal bias as a social studies guy, as a history, economics, political science, that kind of stuff, studier and enjoyer. But if you can understand the scope and flow of your world, then you can just take any story from that world and you can make an interesting story of it because you already know the finishing of the completion of it. It's one of the reasons why I personally believe, and I always bring this back up because I always love talking about it, the original Gundam did so well because, God, I always forget his name. And I always feel bad about it. Not Oshi. Oshi was the other one. Tomino. Tomino's did a bunch of other things too, but Tomino was a history guy. He's the perfect cross section of like wanted to be an aerospace engineer and design cool shit, and also then ended up going into history, and that ended up becoming creative arts, like doing creative writing and stuff like that. So his sort of understanding of history is what came into and makes Gundam so interesting. One of the problems with modern Gundam is the same problem with pretty much every science fiction, which is you have to fucking sit through a goddamn treatise on the fucking universe, like episode 2 or 3, because you gotta fucking understand what happened 1,500 years ago in a trade argument between two countries that are made up on a fucking map that don't actually exist in a universe that's loosely based off of modern realities. I love Gundam, but fuck, is that annoying. It was really, you mean paste stoves? Oh, that's part of the problem, Harback, in most modern series, is that most modern series has to tell you what the universe is, and because it has to world build for you, and they do some of the most lazy world building out there. The writing and characters are usually pretty good. Gundam's writing has gotten better and better over the years, and the characters have gotten better, more interesting. Arguably, Iron-Blooded Orphans and Witch from Mercury are some of the best written and like directed Gundams ever. The problem is they didn't give those shows time to breathe. They gave them each 2 seasons, and so they got a total of like 25 episodes. When like most like Wing got like 50. And Wing, same with like X and Double O and that kind of stuff. I just want to see Ryan Ehrenreich as an 8-foot super soldier. Why do I know that name? Is that Superman? No, that's fucking Doc. What? Why are you talking about Doc from Squadron 42? Now I'm gonna wrap this all back into Star Citizen and Squadron 42. CIG has done a good job of world building, but now's the hard part where they actually have to create characters. And I'm gonna beat that fucking drum until somebody at CIG fucking sees this. You need to create interesting characters that players can interact with so that they can connect themselves to the universe. You have a bunch of mission givers who had that start of creating those characters, but they're not there yet. And every single game franchise has some sort of character connection, even if the player is a blank slate. people don't obsess over Mass Effect because of the fucking lore. People obsessed over Mass Effect because of Ashley and because of Liara and because of Tali and because of Garrett, or not Garrett, Garrus and Rex. Like, the characters were important. People grew fond of the characters in Dragon Age, and the universe was built around those characters. Same thing happened in Warcraft, especially Warcraft 2 and 3. You begin to give it more shit about the people you're interacting with, which then connects you to the universe as a whole. I got my own problems with Universal Century. I don't think there's been a good Universal Century Gundam series that hasn't been just nostalgia bait. Oh, I see what you're talking about, Parabrick. You're talking about the 40K series. Yes. I thought the Jort storyline was amazing until he disappeared with no climax to the story and seems to have been forgotten. That's the thing. It's like, there should have been some sort of conclusion. Now, I can only speak for myself, and this is not necessarily good or bad, but the way I would have pitched it would have been, you have a conclusion where Yort still survives and escapes, but he leaves you something because he believes you're working with them. Who's them doesn't fucking matter. But, like, he's fucking paranoid. So having a situation where the whole Site B stuff was a trap, where you get to the experiment to run it and it fucks up, and like the air is evacuated and everything's locked down, and then you're forced to fight random waves and stuff like that.
Suit. You can even take away my space lasers, but you can never, ever take away my space game.
Symphony of Steel just resubscribed for 14 months. Nice West and Ty Paul, rocking it.
Thank you, Symphony of Steel, for that 14 months of support. You're very important, Pepper, very impressed, Mr. Very pedestrian. This your fault. 300 good night. Shots and cheers. Check out shots and cheers. I cried in Mass Effect 3 when Morty and Solus died. Yeah, no, that was super impactful. Because he didn't just die, he died doing a sacrifice that meant something. And I disagree, Knowledge. I understand where you're coming from, but from my own experience in terms of knowing the story, but also from what I've seen and what I've done research into, a third of the entire game is simply getting to know the various characters on the Stanton and in the what is it called? The system. We even see that in the intro. A lot of your, you're talking with your gunner friends and you start to get to know the various guys. I'm sure there's more than just those dialogue options. I'm sure there's other things you could do as well to like spend a little bit more time there. The characters are important, or like the like big name actors are important, but they're there, I think, for the major events, for the major show of what's going on, rather than the draw. It's done pretty cheesily. Oh, it's a B action movie. Like, don't expect fucking high art. But the actors really give it they give a fuck. Like, they one thing Chris has managed to do is he really manages to get a performance out of the actors. Good evening, everyone. Maybe it's off topic right now, but when I own a ship, I can give my name and Star Citizen. Could it be? Could I have a handle like the UEE even when it's not military, or does it make no sense when you take a look at it in the lore? I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, but I'm sure people use USS whatever on their ships on their own. I don't know if there's anything against it, but UEE designations UES. Yeah. Oh, UES is blocked by web name system. Nice. Okay. Yeah, you can literally not do that. You can't use the UEE naming system then. Has anyone been able to get VoIP working? I've tried and everything it's killing me. It's a toss up, man. It doesn't always work. It's a back end issue. It's not necessarily your issue. As far as the story goes, if you had to explain it, it didn't work. What do you mean? For now, use Discord. Yeah, it's just not working right now. Maybe CIG will tackle it when they actually do the new social systems, but we'll see. Yes, the tech preview was a bust. If you have to use dialogue to explain ethos, you're talking about like what's going on? You're talking about exposition? No, I was 10 minutes late, so yeah, you're good. Discord missed a huge opportunity, but not providing API to integrate with games for in-game voice comms. I'm kind of glad they didn't, because they're about to be in-shitified, because they're going for they're gonna force AI into more AI shit into Discord so that they can increase their IPO, because they're doing initial public offering. So they're trying to like make their platform as valuable to the market as possible, which as we all know, when you say valuable to the market or valuable to investors, it means anything that's awful for your average user. So yeah, it's been shitified for a while. It's just getting worse and worse. We're just waiting for the death knell. So I'm glad they didn't actually release an API to have games be dependent on it, because that would have killed a lot of games. The voice acting was chef's kiss. I still feel like what happened with Yorit was they had something planned and that didn't go through, but the patch always pushes, so they just released it anyways. They basically got it to fucking limping and got it out there. Which is the problem with this current ethos, this current idea of just whatever we have, fucking yeet it out there, even if it's not complete. We might finish it later, we might not. Fuck it, we don't give a shit. Content over everything. We must push, because if we push, we get money, and if we get money, we can stay open. So that mentality works for as long as that's what your main goal is. But if your goal is actually to make a game, eventually you're going to have to make a game, and that won't work if you're just pushing slop. I bought a Polaris with LTI, so I can't melt it. So I'm out here still soloing. Good luck, bud. You should have gotten some some like loaner for the Polaris. My prediction for 2026 is big feature-driven quarterly 4.x patches and smaller quality of life and content-driven 4xx patches between them. Yeah, I can see that. I could see crafting being released in March. Engineering stuff being done in like engineering in like April or May, probably May. Hey, Gregson. As far as the Javelin goes, if they release Squadron 2 by like October 10th, you'll probably see the Javelin at IAE 2027. As according to J. Crew, there's still modules that need to be made for the Javelin. I imagine not all of the Javelin interior is modeled. Base building when? 2027, not this year. This year feels like it's going to be more get Star Citizen on parity with Squadron, so that when Squadron releases, they can have Star Citizen Squadron together. What would the Jav modules be, though? I have missed this. The Jav modules are Orbital Bombardment, VIP, Raider, Convoy Protection, CNC, like a flag module, basically. And I want to say there's one other one. These were all things that were pitched, like, in lore as to exist. So they'll probably, like, combine a couple of those. My biggest question is about the Javelin is still, where the hell does it get its cargo? It's got 5,400 SCU. We've never seen what the cargo hell looks like, because they haven't modeled it yet. We'll get a base building tech demo. You'd say that, but we probably will get a tech preview for base building before the end of the year. There was base building keybinds in the latest Evo. Yes, because base building is working internally and has been working internally from this to the degree that we saw at CitizenCon 2024 for pretty much all of 2025. Like I think the monthly report that talked about that was like March or April of 2025. But they mentioned that they had finished the base building to the state that they wanted to be in. The thing you got to remember is that base building needs a bunch of things, including the new Planet Tech, the Starchitect. It also needs UI team to be available. So while it could technically be done, like be good to go in terms of like mechanically, the UI is probably not there. It probably doesn't work on the surfaces we have now. Like it probably doesn't work on like the stanchion system. So you'd have to go to like Nyx 1 specifically to do base building, because that's the only planet that'll be able to have base building unlocked. And Nyx 1 isn't done yet. So like it's just there's a lot of other factors that play into it. It's probably not coming out. Even if you see key binding, that doesn't mean shit. Hey, Guitar Kid. Did you already go over the non-Evocati leaks about the base building yet? Sort of, yeah. Let's pull up the actual this. Community Spectrum. Sign in. There we go. All right, let's go over this. I believe you can see the Evocati, like the tech preview stuff is available for everybody to see. But I'm not going to put it on the screen, but I'll read through it. All right. Evocati Tech Preview Fabricator Crafting System. Crafting fabricators has been added to your home inventories that will allow you to test the first implementation of item crafting. With this, you'll be able to craft a select amount of armors, FPS weapons, ship weapons, backpacks, and more. Audience Evocati only. Tech Preview Build Channel. Timed playtest Monday, January 19th. Targeting about 6 hours. Getting started with crafting. To begin crafting, bring up your fabricator from the freight elevator at your home location's hangar. Locate the terminal on the fabricator and interact with it. Open the crafting interface to open the crafting interface. From there, you will be you can see available blueprints, manage materials, and queue up crafting jobs. Blueprints. Blueprints are recipes that define what you can and can't be crafted. When you select a blueprint, you'll see the required materials, quantities needed, and relevant materials in your inventories for that item. Working with materials and inventory. Materials can be stored in your local inventory at your current location, or by placing them in the cargo grid of the item fabricator itself. The crafting interface displays materials from both sources. Materials come in different quality levels and can mix different quantities together, to meet the recipe requirements. Adding materials. Drag and drop materials from the material list into the recipe aspect. Click the X button next to each aspect to unassign those materials if you wish to make different choices. Crafting and queuing items. Once you've selected a blueprint and assigned materials to it, choose where you want the finished item delivered using the Deliver To option, or decide later once the craft finishes. You can queue multiple crafting jobs at will that will process subsequently. Track your active projects and see estimated completion times directly at the interface in the queue screen, accessible from the left-hand tab bar. Players can break down items to recover materials. Currently, this is only available for breaking down crafted items and not generic items obtained from shops or looted items. Simply place the item in the interface and start the dismantling process. New resources. Currently not working with the refining side. This release of crafting comes with 2 new materials to find and use in many fabricator blueprints. This includes Aslarite, and Auralite, and can both be found out on Hurston and Ariel as ship minables with the trash and acidic biomes. CIG is still using Norse weekday names for meshes of the day. In the patches imminent, they switched to English names. Interesting. Yeah, blueprints were broken. You know, a ship I've always wondered about in the big capital ship arena was oh god, what was it? Doesn't Crusader have a capital ship? The Jupiter? Yes, the Jupiter exists in lore, but the CIG has been asked specifically if they ever wanted to do the Jupiter, and the developers have said no. They have no plans on doing the Jupiter. And to give you context, the Jupiter is fucking huge. Those shuttles that you see flying around Crusader, those like transport shuttles, those are the equivalent of the shuttles that you would see that the old Seraphim Systems shuttle used to do. In fact, the Spirit is based off of an old Seraphim Systems shuttle, so maybe slightly smaller than the Spirit. The Jupiter was built to take those to market. So it would be a ship a gigantic ship. Because I can't imagine they would only take one ship to market. It would be probably 10 minimum to take that to market. 5 to 10. So a ship whose cargo bay was wide enough to fit 5 medium ships front to back. So 5 freelancers, effectively. That is huge. That is stupidly gigantic. I'm surprised they weren't bringing in crafting with. They weren't bringing in crafting without the need for blueprints, just materials. It's nice to see them not doing a tier 0. You need to have blueprints because the whole system is built off of blueprints. Crafting, they could have done crafting without blueprints like a year ago. They just needed the blueprint system to work. So, and the blueprint system is a completely separate back-end system. It's like the inventory system or the like all of the different persistence programs that they run, like the VoIP system, the economy system, all of that. It's its own unique back-end system. But maybe I am jaded as shit. Ooh, 4.6 loading screen. Asiato finishes FTL network upgrades. Ooh, I'm going to put this up, pull this up. I mean, makes sense. If they get a blueprint system worked out, and they can roll the insurance gear permanent system forward a bit as well. I think that's the main plan. The main plan was always to get the insurance system in with the crafting system. So it's not just going to be the crafting. It's going to be crafting, item recovery 2.0, because that involves getting blueprints for your items that you have and then being able to build them back again. Surprise, surprise, chat. You lose your gear with tier 1 or with the tier 1 craft or tier 1 item recovery. Your ass is gonna have to like build it from scratch. You will not get it for free back. I don't think they'll try to get space building out by Squadron 42 release, because it's not really needed for Squadron's release. All right, anyways. United, always a good one. Working quickly after last month's reveal of the breakthrough technology, Asiato engineers have coordinated with key researchers from projects to outfit their entire comm network with new faster-than-light upgrades. An Asiato spokesperson said they've begun to seamlessly roll out access to the service with hundreds of thousands of users utilizing the new inter-system comms already. This has been an interesting thing because it seems like this is, I know what this is. This is social tools. This is CIG doing what they always fucking do, which is trying to integrate the lore with the gameplay. So this is social tools. I guarantee you this is the social tools thread that they're trying to pull. Well, the 4.5 has the like theoretical like FTL travel, FTL comms thing that was being pushed. So people were freaking out because it's like, does this mean we're not going to have data running? It's like, no, you still have data running. This is just an excuse for social tools, which is why you can make fucking video calls across the systems, between systems and all that stuff. Makes sense not getting items back when you die, but they need to fix a lot of bugs that kill you or force you to backspace before they bring you back to life. Mega, when they do tier one item recovery, they're removing the backspace. They may add what is it called? An unstuck. Something that just teleports you to a little ways if you get stuck into something. But yeah, they're removing the backspace. I love when they do dumb stuff like that. I do too. The thing I just like to, they also do is to add more characters and other things to that, but they'll do it eventually, I hope. I imagine the writers and the mission givers and mission team want to do those sorts of things. They just are held back by the game's systems themselves. Yeah, that comms call between ArcCorp and Hurston should have like a 3 to 4 minute delay between conversations. It won't. They're faster. It's faster than like communications using interspace as the communication systems. So it's instantaneous. It's quantum entanglement. Everyone's favorite bullshit reason for faster than light travel that technically could work in a context of what it was created. Like subspace in Star Trek. Yep. Well, no, like Mass Effect 2 had quantum entanglement between the oh, why am I blanking on his name? I don't want to say the cigarette smoking man because that's not the one. The mysterious man. I forgot the name of your benefactor. It's Alec Baldwin, not Alec Baldwin. It was Martin. Not Hackett. It was when Edie could like connect between two different places. Martin Sheen, yeah. Elusive Man, thank you. Yes, I know, and I was explaining what we have now is unrealistic. True, yes. Thank you. It's been a while since I've played Mass Effect, so I always forget the name of the guy, even though he's like the main fucking antagonist of 2 and 3. It's a radio signal through permanent quantum drive tunnel or something. It's using the same technology that Regen uses, but for communications. Basically, it's sending a signal through interspace. Less of a quantum drive and more of a jump tunnel. It's basically creating a microscopic jump tunnel from one point to another to be able to have communications. That's my guess based off of what they talked about. And the easy answer for like how to solve that problem, I keep saying this, CIG keeps fucking using these. Don't do it, CIG. Come up with your own ideas. But the easiest answer is to, well, then why don't we just make our own jump tunnels? The answer is it's probably too much power required to create a huge one for people to travel through. But there's, just enough power for a tiny one. Kind of like how we can make miniature black holes in particle colliders, but they're so briefly in existence they just plop out immediately. Quantum entanglement communication, I love that concept. That's basically what this new FTL thing is. It's quantum entanglement communication. Ooh, it'd be really cool if CIG did some sort of like, so they've already added some horror into the game, a little bit of body horror, where like this whole FTL communications thing is, so I saw a recent article on this company that's using human brain cells to experimenting with human brain cells to see what they can do to train human brain cells. If they can train people, like they trained human brain cells to learn how to play a game of Pong. And then they created a basically a collection of human brain cells around a microchip, which can exist for up to 6 months, and they're going to use it to help study things like Alzheimer's and shit like that. It's pretty cool. But like, how do we know that interspace works through the Ibrahim spheres, through the imprints? Well, it connects your brain, it scans your brain and your whole DNA structure into the whole system. So maybe this FTL system is using human DNA, human brain cells, as sort of a hack to get the same system to work. So it's communicating between 2 points using the Ibrahim spheres, but in a sort of manufactured way. Right now we're making poor old Murderbot, yeah. But I saw that. Didn't they say the brain cells started playing Pong without being taught it? They tried to teach it how to play it, and then it eventually started to learn how to play it. They were like, play Pong, and it didn't know what to do, and then it learned how to play Pong as the game went through. Like they didn't like they taught it by giving it access to the Pong. What a lot of people get wrong with quantum entanglement is the communication between quanta isn't instant. It's at the speed of light. That's where CIG does the writing equivalent of jazz hands, where they have created their own instantaneous communication sub-dimension called interspace, that they're using as their bullshit excuse for instant communication. Hey, staked. Bet the alien race that's pushing the Vanduul is powerful enough to create their own jump points, like in Babylon 5? Possibly. Oh, really? Check out interspace. Yeah, basically. Listen, every science fiction story has science fiction bullshit in it. No matter how hardcore the science fiction, they all have scientific bullshit. It's shit that works because the plot needs it to work. I always like to point to The Expanse because people go, The Expanse is super hardcore science fiction. It's super realistic. I prefer that over science fantasy, which is so unrealistic. And I'm like, guys, the proto-molecule is bullshit. It is space magic. It's basically whatever the plot needs it to be. It is malleable force essence from Star Wars. And even worse than that, the Epstein drive, unfortunate name, which is all of the ships or most of the ships in the Expanse universe has it. It's basically super efficient fusion engines which can go for a long time. The Epstein drive itself is it's bullshit. It's made up. It's just super efficient. How does it work? They don't fucking know. It only allowing small data streams is what keeps data running as a profession. Yeah, it's what pretty much everyone, at least in my community, when we're workshopping. Wait, how does this mean? It's the end? And we're like, no, because there's still data couriers today. Like people will people will email, not email, but they'll like hand mail like hard drives and flash drives stuff like that, or even use bike carriers to get it from point A to point B. No, I agree, Akuma. Well, new tech is based on new discovery, so of course there's space BS because they're filling in a guess for what happened to be discovered IRL. Exactly. But the point being is that, like, I often see people try to use the argument of that if your series has to, or if your book, or if your comic book, or your television show, or your movie has to resort to inventing bullshit for to make your plot work, then it's not scientific. If it's not scientific, then it's science fantasy. And that sort of purist mentality is sort of wrong because everyone does that shit all the time. Because at the end of the day, it's a story, not fucking reality. So if we so we get most of our QT bugs because we don't have proper Geller shields. Sort of technically interspaces between systems. So when you do jump points, those are tunnels through interspace. Let me rephrase that. He did have an off switch. He just couldn't reach it from his chair. Oh, Epstein? Yeah. I think it was like Charles Epstein was his name. Fun fact, they had no idea about that story. They didn't invent that story until after like they had written the first Expanse book and it did so well. They went back and wrote the short story about Epstein and his drive in between the books for it. So there's like a lot of short stories that are set in the Expanse universe that they've written. Daniel and Ty have written. To fill out the universe. That purist mentality is an excuse for snobbery to boost ego of lesser minds. It is, and it's one of the reasons why science fiction is not as well loved as fantasy, for instance. Because nobody gives a fuck about fantasy. Fantasy is supposed to be fantastical and whimsical and interesting, and you can do different things with it. So, what's one of the biggest subgenres of fantasy right now? Romantasy. Just thirsty as fuck women writing about thirsty as fuck women with sexy men in a fantasy setting, because it's fantasy. Fuck it, we can do whatever the fuck we want. So what I'm trying to say is we need sci-fi. Romantify. That doesn't work. I don't fucking know how to do it. We need science fiction romance that's steamy and hot to get all of the normies over. We need Twilight for science fiction is what I'm trying to say. Romanticize. There we go. Some sci-fi franchise brings in physics and astronomy experts as consultants. Some do not. It's easy to tell. Yeah, there's some basic stuff you have to get right. And I think that's part of the reason why science fiction is sort of easier to fuck up, which means it's harder to sell. Well, I don't think the Daniel or Ty, who wrote the original Expanse series, I don't think the book was written when Epstein had committed suicide or killed himself. I think it was written before that. Let me look at when it was actually written. It may have been in reference to him because he was a pretty big name. I think he had done some like film work before, but like producing work. What was it? No, it was 2012 when that was written. So the whole killed himself section didn't happen until 2016. So we're talking 4 years. Mm-hmm. Sci-fi action adventure with Xenos romance like Mass Effect. That would work. Do you like Sci-Mance? But it does sound like some forgotten magic art. Yeah, it sounds like some sort of like brain thing. Like a virus, yeah. I feel like we need more slice of life stories in a science fiction setting. Like that was one of the appeals of like Star Trek. The reason why so many people were interested into shows like Star Trek in like the 90s, between the 60s and the 90s, was because a lot of Star Trek is just the fucking crews, the crews of the Enterprise, you know, of the various Enterprise crews, were just fucking around. They're just having a good time. They had some interpersonal drama here and there. Spock smacked the shit out of Kirk a couple of times. Like, you know. Just a bunch of sci-fi dudes being space guys. I mean, like, think about Firefly. Firefly was super popular in the early 2000s, even though it was canceled before it had a chance to really run. But that most of Firefly is just interpersonal drama between the crew. The events that happen around them drive that drama, but it's all drama. Yeah, Love, Death, and Robots has a lot of slice of life, and I think that series does pretty well because of that. It's one of the things that, like, Murderbot is pretty good about that, too. Especially later books in the Murderbot series do that. I don't think it's just women. I think it's just people in general. If people feel like they can get into a universe that feels, like, real, like, with people, then people feel more comfortable in that universe. They get more interested in that universe. I've always said that like lore is good as a way. Good lore gets you to like this way. I'm gonna put this in a way that makes sense. Good lore only works when you already have the basics done. When you have characters, when you have a setting that people care about. Lore is setting, but it's just more like the depth of a setting. So like CIG has a setting. They have lore. Now they have to create characters and people to give a shit about in order to get in that. And sometimes it's just people being dudes. Gals being gals. Guys being guys. Wickelos being Wickelos, you know, like just normal shit to get to know each other, get to know the people in the universes. Universe is built on interesting characters and interactions. Like, what is Mass Effect? Just my cool people, space people dating sim broken up by a neat universe. Exactly. I was saying that earlier. I was talking about Mass Effect as like a great example because BioWare is really good at it. BioWare is just really good at writing characters. and they're pretty good at taking those characters to use them as expansions of a universe. Remember, lore exists to justify the game. It's what keeps you interested in the game. Yeah. But if I didn't have Garrus and Tally making my adventure worthwhile, wouldn't have gotten nearly as far. I mean, I would kill people for Garrus. Like even just no matter what, even if you weren't doing a run with romancing Garrus, like they're like I'd go to jail for Garrus in Mass Effect. That's how well written he is. I always feel weird about Tally. Tally's always like whenever I played, she always feels like a sister, like a little sister sort of thing, and just like must protect. But yeah. Oh, I'd also do nasty things for Rex. I think my favorite episode of Love, Death, and Robots was the violent one, Sunny's Edge, though. It was just the idea of the Edge simply being what that she was fighting for her life every time she entered the games, and none of her opponents was. The whole reveal was kind of epic. Yeah, I like that one. I like the one about like the basically like where the woman has like a biological child and the guy's trying to chase her down because like children are illegal because like everyone's immortal. Berserker 1 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub. Your space bartender of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. Hold up. Wait for it.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship 401. What the fuck are you playing?
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pews.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Lucky's been cooking. Jesus. It can't be Star Citizen. That many people can't be watching Star Citizen.
Harabek_weather just resubscribed for 21 months. Boy howdy, I can't wait to suffer in the 4.6.1 Emukati in 3 to 4 weeks.
That's how it always goes, baby. Thank you for that 20 months of support there, Harabek. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive. Very good. You rock. Trust and cheers.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit. Logan.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Loken Plays just resubscribed for 74 months. Steel Rain.
Steel Rain, brothers. Thanks for that 74 months of support. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive. Mr. Very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers, Jet. Y'all. Shots and cheers.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Ferriqueer just resubscribed for 72 months.
Thanks for that 72 months of support there, Ferric. Jesus fucking Christ. Logan shows up and it's just like a nothing
You
but
can take away my
trains.
spaceship.
I like trains.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never,
Never,
ever
ever.
take away my space game.
InstaShinobi just resubscribed for 29 months.
Thanks for that.
NFGGGGG.
They've had 29 months of support. Their Instant Shinobi, a very important proper, very impressed, Mr. Very pedestrian. This your fault. There's
You can
your
take away my
cheers.
spaceship.
Spaceship!
You can take away my space suit.
Nope.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never,
ever
ever.
take away my space game.
Banside just resubscribed for 11 months.
Thanks so much, Baneside, for that 11 months of support. You're very important, proper, very impressed, Mr. Very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat. Y'all, shots and cheers.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Dude.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never,
ever
ever.
take away my space game.
Hoster 102 just resubscribed for 3 months. Perfect time to refresh this.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space
Thank
suit.
you, Holster, for 102 for
You can
3
even
months.
take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never,
ever
ever.
take away my space game.
Gonzo 209X just resubscribed for 92 months.
Thank you for that 92 months of support there, Gonzo. You're very important, proper, very impressed, Mr. Very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Woo! Hey, Loken. I don't know if you're still here. How you doing, brother? Hey, how's everyone doing from Loken's stream? My name's Paul. Welcome to the Astropub. Welcome to the Office Hours. We do this on Mondays now. This is where I talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We talked a little bit about crafting. That was the main topic, but we also are looking at the new loading screen. We're talking a little bit about the lore. This is the cool one. I figured out what this is. This is the lore for social tools. This is the social tools lore. This is CIG doing their social tools setup so that it makes sense in the universe. So what's going to happen is a lot of your social tool stuff is going to be through Asiato. Quote me on this shit. You will be doing your invites and your friend requests and all your shit through Asiato Communications. Clip it. I'm fucking serious. This is the only reason why they've been talking about it so frequently, is because it's the fucking social tools thing. Too bad they didn't use the star logo. We could have called it Comstar. Hopefully it works better than crafting. To be fair with crafting, the reason why it failed was because of the blueprint system not working, not because the crafting system wasn't working. Starcom. Da, 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 da. Does this not make data running pointless? No, it doesn't, because data running is still high bandwidth. This is low bandwidth. The lore is purely to all of us justify being able to shout at each other from Santa to Pyro. Yeah, but I mean, like, they haven't really been doing big... Oof, get some more water. They haven't been really doing big sort of pushes like this in the loading screen news articles. They haven't been doing stuff like this that doesn't impact directly story or like feature stuff. It would have been down here if it was just for them to make a retcon or like to add to the game's like background to justify shit. This is almost guaranteed the new social tools. This is the stuff behind the new social tools. Yeah, unsecured. It's also unsecured distance. It's like trying to pull down GTA 5 over 5G. Not enough bandwidth to do it in any reasonable time. Yeah. Yeah. They said it was highly secure in the previous one. No, for communications, but we're not talking about like, we're not talking about A, highly secure, but B, we're also talking about voice comms. There's been no evidence that this is going to be data transfer, because I've even seen it here. They're coordinated with key researchers to project from the project to outfit their entire comm network with the new Fashion Light upgrades. An Asiato spokesperson that they begin to seamlessly roll out access to the service with hundreds of thousands of users utilizing the new inter-systems comms already. So what they're talking about is communications, not data. Look at it this way. If this was designed as CIG saying we're not doing data running, then this is the stupidest fucking thing CIG has ever done. This is the dumbest way of confirming that. The only reason why they do something like this is because they're working on either features or narrative. And the reason why they're doing something like this is because of narrative features. Like, the Telegraph didn't replace the Postal Service. Heck, email, AOL Instant Messenger, ICQ, Skype, live streaming, FTP haven't managed to make the USPS obsolete. Exactly. You're still doing Pony Express shit, is what you're doing. And you got to remember that all data is, currency is digital in the Star Citizen universe. So it's likely that currency transfers will be done the slow way now, through courier. But also secure in terms of like highly secure large data packets probably need to be sent out through couriers. So we already have data running with stuff like Onyx. Data running just won't be a major profession people hoped it would be. I think it'll be a profession, but it'll be a profession like medical or exploration is. It's going to be a profession of other professions. So, like, most people who do data running will also do, like, actual trading. And so very specified, like, specialized ships like the Herald will still do data running, but that data running is only for, like the Herald will only do that. But, you know, smuggling is specialized trading as well. So we're going to rob the bearer bonds transports? Exactly. Luhodu, maybe the new communications thing on the left will be the new Spectrum and in-game social system update finally. That's my theory, is that maybe not new Spectrum, but this is definitely going to be the new social tools. So like the new party system and all that kind of stuff. This is interesting. Former Senator LaSalle faces corruption charges. New details emerge that the once imperator hopeful Paul LaSalle seems to be the key participant in the ongoing pay-to-play scandal that has rocked the GOS system. He was the centralist candidate. For more Vid remake announced. Nearly 500 years after the classic Vid story premiered, a new remake is hoping to capture the spirit of the original doomed romance that captured the Empire's heart. All right, and this is the new event. Following reports of a new unknown illness afflicting the residents of Levski, their sources have been confirmed as a new species of mold whose airborne spores cause potentially fatal fungal infections in humans. The source of the mold growth was traced back to a recently installed ventilation filters from manufacturer Geisen Inc. That were revealed to be faulty. Named Molina mold after the first person to be killed by the ailment, it has since filled clinics and hospitals in the NICS system with people experiencing symptoms. While the People's Alliance is working with a UEE-based Alliance Aid relief group to replace the filters and distribute treatment, residents and visitors alike are being strongly advised to avoid areas in Levski experiencing mold growth. And this is the event that's going to be happening in 4.6, but it's also likely going to be the prequel to the missions that we do in the depths in I forgot what they're called. They showed it off at CitizenCon Direct. Can't retcon until the game until an unfinished game. Well, yes and no. This is sort of a retcon, but it's not really a retcon because it's sort of CIG does something that's unique. They don't retcon, they add. They basically just change. So retcon stands for retroactive continuity. So basically going back and changing an old lore to fix the new reality. CIG hasn't done that at all. Basically. Every so often they do that, but it's very, very rare they do that. It's usually to like correct some issues, like they retcon the discovery of the Stanton system, but that's because of like they wanted to make they wanted to like extend the timeline because the original discovery of the Stanton system was like 2905, so it was only like 40 years, and it's like that's a short amount of time for ArcCorp to be built. So they retconned it to back to 2850, so it's now like over 100 years old. So like the century kind of makes sense, you know. Astromance. Ooh, I like that, Victoria. I like that. Yeah, midichlorians, stuff like that. But like Nix 1 isn't a retcon. Nix 1 is just CIG making new shit up. This isn't a retcon. This is just CIG making new shit up. Regen isn't a retcon. It's just CIG making new shit up. It's sort of retcon because it took place a couple of years ago. Like Regen was created in 2949, and it was introduced into the game in 2950 something, but it was like, yeah, it's sort of retcon, but it's sort of like, what? Because it was a addition to the game as it was being brought in. Time in Star Citizen continues to move forward, so it reasons new tech comes online. Exactly. I just find it really funny in the universe of Star Citizen, which has basically been mostly stagnant. So like technology advanced pretty rapidly until the Mezzers. The Mezzers sort of punched technology in the dick because it was just not very, you know, it's not very good for your business or like employment options if you're a scientist. If at any moment, just the guy who runs the entire country or the entire government in this case can just say, we're taking your funding away, and if you say anything, we're going to black bag you and throw you into a prison that nobody knows exists. So don't talk shit. So like that doesn't exactly lead to scientists doing their best work. And when you have that for like 300 fucking years, doesn't tend to advance technology a lot. You know, which is sort of CIG's excuse. That combined with the fact that AI just doesn't exist. It does exist, it just keeps killing people so they don't use it. Sort of stagnates. But it's just so weird that it's like, we have like advancement, stagnation for 300 years, and then like slowly creeping up and like, it's like slowly advancing technological process between like 2800 and like the 29, between the 29th and 30th centuries. And we hit the 30th century, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're doing nice clipping. We're doing pretty well. New advancement technology up to 2946, and like from 2946 to 2956, it's just been like, boom, like technology just fucking exploded in the last 10 years. Regeneration and FTL communication is insane. To be fair, FTL communication comes from regen. That's the whole thing. This one is interesting. Somebody asked earlier about museums. This is an Angeli. The Moho Museum, Mohio Museum is pretty well known, actually. It's mentioned a couple of times in lore. It's sort of like an aerospace museum. One of the bigger ones. I don't know why it's called that. I have to look it up. But it's in Angeli, which is in Croshaw. Recently premiered its brand new exhibit, RSI Beyond the Millennia, featuring preserved and restored vehicles from throughout the company's storied history. Curator Max Durino says their goal was not only how Roberts Space Industries has altered humanity's course through the stars, but where they might take us in the years to come. Not so subtle hint at the new Aurora. Actually, look this up. Oh, well, shit. Yeah, it's over 900 years old now. I was thinking, wait, is RSI a century old? No, it's almost a century old. It's 918 years. Perfect for tech to explode just before the death of the Empire in a new Dark Age. Well, arguably, it does sort of make historical sense, because a lot of... There was a not insignificant amount of technological innovation that was happening in the Byzantine Empire after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire continued on and was doing some good stuff with technology and preserved a lot of old technology. It wasn't until like the 800s, 900s AD that the Eastern Roman Empire started to fuck up more. Millennium, thank you. Centuries, 100, millions, 1,000, yeah. I've been doing that with my book. I went back and fucked that. I fucked it up a couple times in dialogue. They reference a century. I'm like, no, they've been fucking traveling for 1,000 years. That's a millennia. It features the only remaining original Retaliator. It makes sense. RSI is older than dirt. Yeah, it's super old. My own headcanon regarding Star Citizen and AI is humanity keeps brewing up a synthetic intelligence and then trains it on what they expect it to do in the role they made it for. Only for like a year or like a year or 5 years, and then just throw it at its new job when the intelligence has the intellectual maturity of a child, and then they expect it to monitor and maintain all complex systems of a space colony. I mean, it makes sense. No wonder it makes mistakes. Effectively, as far as I can tell, artificial intelligence in the Star Citizen universe, ironically enough, hallucinates. it sort of has the same problem that modern LLMs have, where it's like mostly right, like it's fairly accurate to what you need it to do if you don't look too deep. Just don't ask it to do things it's not really good at. And then when you do have it do things it's good at, it's sort of, or you just poke and prod it just a little bit under the skin, it just sort of implodes on itself. Like for instance, the lemming car incident of Tokyo. Like, I imagine they never actually put that fucking AI into anything but a training simulation. Like, it never was given like a portion of a city in a real life scenario that was like monitored heavily by people. I imagine they did a bunch of sims for it and they were like, yeah, it fucking works, and they just installed it into the Tokyo transit system. I know Luna is here. I don't know enough about the Tokyo transit system, but I imagine it's fairly fucking complex, with trains and cars and, you know, all like buses and all that kind of shit. If you imagine like all of that being run like sort of semi-automated right now, I think at least a little bit. I remember when in San Francisco Bay Area, we used BART, the rapid transit system, and it was pretty much automated back in the 80s. They had drivers only because every so often it would fuck up and kill people, ironically enough. But basically, give this thing control over all of them at once and expect it to monitor everything. And you're surprised when it fucking doesn't. And when it finds gaps in its training data set and has to guess, it has no experience to do that and fucks up. Yeah. And somehow we missed that on timeline of steampunk Romans. I'm so sad about that. You think we'll ever see the remnants of the Meza regime, like the black sites you referenced earlier? Yes. Oh, yes. They're so easy to fucking write because CIG loves unambiguous bad guys. Right now, it's shitty, but like, that's such an easy unambiguous. You could pull that fucking string, and you just let it go. Oh, mwah. Like that's an entire patch cycle you could do with just a neat trailer about the somehow Palpatine returned sort of shit. The return of the Mezzers would be cinema if they could do it right. They won't, but you know. Yeah, but effectively, the AI in the Star Citizen universe is competent at what it does, because we created artificial general intelligence in the Star Citizen universe. They created it in like the 2200s. Like general intelligence AI has been a thing in the Star Citizen universe for hundreds of years. It's just they don't quite know what to do with it, and every time they give it things to do, it fucks up, because it's a general. For those of you who don't know what general intelligence means, you'll hear people say Gen AI because I fucking hate tech bros. It's because tech bros have tried to merge the image of generative AI with general AI. General AI has been a concept for years, which basically means an artificial intelligence which is at the level of a human. So basically an artificial human that is digital, rather than, what we have now, which is GOF AI, I think it's called, or basic AI, which is just sort of expert systems. That's what it's called, expert systems. Where like you build an artificial intelligence that's just very good at one thing: chess, coding, looking at DNA, that kind of shit. So you can think of, I think technically Cortana is an advanced AI, but it's something similar to that from like the Halo series, or Edie from Mass Effect we talked about before. Well, all smart AIs are based off of human brains, but they're usually based off of dead human brains. But yeah. That's what's on that slide. GLaDOS, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Star Citizen, in the Star Citizen universe, AI is outlawed because it kept killing people. I'm going to do a video on the history of AI next month. Right now I'm finishing up my my complete history of Stars, not complete history of Stars. No, not yet. My brief overview of Star Citizen lore, sort of like a quick guide on the lore of Star Citizen and then the systems we currently have in Star Citizen. So right now it's about 10 pages long, which is about 20 minutes. So it's a little short for my usual videos, and it's short, you know. It's still going to be, you know, longer than the original one, which I think was like 10 minutes long. I've doubled it in length, but that's because I'm also talking about not just Stanton, but Pyro, Nyx, and I also added things about regen and the like various illusions to things like weapons and armor and you know, that kind of thing. Like directly trying to kill people, or just kills people by proxy by failing to do its job, right? It fails to do its job, or does its job and fucks up some parts of it, which gets a fuck ton of people killed. Like hundreds of thousands of people are dead because of AI. Now, over the course of like 900 years, that's not a lot, but it's basically every single time humanity has given AI a specific task to do something, it kills a lot of those people. Honestly, it makes no sense that AI killed a lot of people. It's more human error handing control over to a clearly flawed thing. I mean, yeah, but it's easier to blame the artificial intelligence than it is to blame the person. And that's sort of the discussion in the Star Citizen universe about AI, which a lot of people are like, there's a reason we banned this shit, because it keeps killing people. And other people being like, because we keep giving it the fucking keys to the kingdom and it doesn't know what the fuck to do and fucks up. We need to build a system that can work, that can handle the problems, and teach it how to do the problems, and then let it go. We need to raise a child to become an adult, and then give that adult the keys to the kingdom, rather than giving a child that has the intelligence of an adult to the keys to the kingdom to do what we need to do. I like that headcanon, by the way, Jaded. I think that works. Why did you do a full? Didn't you do a full lore citizen where we last on where the last measures went? I think I did. I think I talked about that. I also have to do an entire. I'm gonna do an entire lore video on the measures themselves. That's gonna be a summer video because nobody fucking gives a shit about the measures. I mean, you do, and I love you for it, dear viewer. You specifically, thank you. But like the vast majority of Star Citizen players are just like, I don't give a fuck. If this doesn't have to do with ships or the current systems of the game, I don't give a fuck. Sounds familiar to the current AI discussion. And then the funniest fucking part is that I came up with this discussion in like 2016, well before the generative AI, revolution that's happened recently. I kind of worry that Star Citizen AGI lore will play out IRL. That is, hallucinate and then hurt, kill people. Not out of malice, just incompetence. My belief is that CIG will use AI as an antagonist. Like, imagine an AI version of Dr. Yorit. Like, Dr. Yorit turns himself into an AI and is just impossible to kill because he keeps copying himself and sending himself off into different places to continue his work well after he's dead. Or going to a system that's gone dark due to illegal AI research going on. Well, technically legal now, because the current Imperator is all about legal AI research. Like they should. They restrict it for a reason. Working on AI where it turns into a lore mess. Why not just AI becomes the answer to everything? Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why when I talked with Dave Haddock, he said specifically that he didn't want AI systems, AI to be in the universe because he wanted everything to be more tactile, to be hands-on. There a reason why players are actually controlling something and not just use AI as a sort of spin to do what it wanted to be. He didn't like that. He doesn't like that that sort of history. Again, Chris is very much a cassette futurism guy. You know, Aliens, Blade Runner, that kind of thing. We're talking about AI in Star Citizen as to why AI is outlawed. The meta reason is because Chris doesn't like AI, but as a concept, because it becomes too... everything can be explained by AI and becomes... players aren't doing anything. But no androids or mecha. We do need more cassettes in Star Citizen. That's really going to be where the info running gameplay comes in. Okay, cool. Just checking. Timeline the real works dark sometimes. No, I know. AI in a video game is like cell phones in horror movies. The entire premise falls apart if you don't disable it. You can do AI in like video games and in science fiction in general. It just requires you to do it in a way that makes sense with the story you're telling. Like, one of my favorite implementations of artificial intelligence in a universe is Futurama. Because what Futurama basically says is that when we create robots, we're effectively just going to create humans who are metal. That's it. Just humans who are very good at one thing, but they're just metal. And not like metal, but like actually like Tin Man, you know. I'm 30%, you know, neon or whatever. Yeah, clank, clank. Like, some of my favorite recent science fiction games, like, actively have AI and robots in them. Like, two of the most iconic characters in science fiction video gaming came out the same fucking year in 2016. BT and I want to say Ian was his name, but it's not it. I'm blanking on his name. From Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Ethan. I forget his name. I mean, it isn't wrong. Look at all the companies trying to make AI house bots. And they make them look like weird human shapes. Or we should always frame giant mecha robots as human shape. Don't get me wrong. I love human mecha power suits, but isn't the most efficient war machine structure out there. I do love Moon. Moon is pretty good too. Is his name Ethan as well? Yeah, Halo and Cortana and Edie are sort of like AI, but they're sort of like virtual AI. They're sort of like the AI you think of when you think of like computer intelligence. And both of those came out before 2016. Even like modern combat robots in these the universe of like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Titanfall are common, but they make sense because there's restrictions, there's limitations. You got to build them, you got to maintain them, you got to give them orders, you got to structure them, you got to give them commands, and so they're vulnerable to hacking. So if somebody is smart enough, they can hack into them and turn them against their users. And yes, robot crabs. Everybody loves crab robots. I like AI as ship operating systems, like Rami and Andromeda series, or EDI and Mass Effect. Yeah, I like that too. I like that trope. The bot pilots. Yeah, I like that. I'll check it out, Rigsby. I've always seen the mecha genre in terms of like working best when it's less of a giant stomping robot and more of like a exosuit that's slightly bigger, like Fallout power armor. Robots are also a slippery slope. A robot army would be almost unstoppable. Just so many compounding advantages. There's limitations you can do. Like, for instance, a great limitation that was done in, I think it was the Double O Gundam series, was power. Where, like, it requires a lot of power to run, your machines. And that power is infinitely, it grows infinitely as you do things. And that would work the same with robots. Robots need power to run. So it's not like robots could go forever. They eventually have to shut down or be powered back up. Like your phone doesn't run forever. Seed, was that Seed that did the power? That was Seed what did the power, didn't it? I thought it was a Double O that did the whole like the nuclear thing. So. How can they say AI runs things? How can they say AI ruins things but then have NPC crew? AI and NPCs aren't the same thing. NPCs in Star Citizen are what we call AI, but when we talk about AI in Star Citizen, we're talking about artificial intelligence systems, like robots, effectively. You gotta get that out of your mind. In the lore of Star Citizen, AI means artificial intelligence, robotics, sort of thing. That's one of the things that actually happens a lot for in terms of confusion, because that was one of those things that I'm always afraid of when I make a video about AI in Star Citizen. Is I'll say the AI in Star Citizen, and people will be like, "Oh, NPCs." It's like that's not what we're fucking talking about, guys. We need a name for game AI, thanks to Tech Bros. We could just call them clankers. Just give the old-fashioned name. Hey, Paul, how's 4.6 been treating you? The servers have been an issue. Council was laggy or responsible the entire weekend. Yeah, no, they were super laggy. Like, practically, like, rubber banding was through the roof. Yeah, it was just awful. Clankers, summon the Gen Alpha. I struggle with Gundam, but at least 00 had adult pilots doing the thing. I struggle with the whole emotionally undeveloped children piloting unstoppable war machines plot lines. I'm going to explain this because I feel like it needs to be explained because it has to be taken into context. Most of that sort of teenagers piloting giant robots sort of narrative, like why it comes out in Gundam, is because in the 70s and 80s, that was a popular genre, but in the same way that Power Rangers is a popular genre. It was the same, they come from the same Sentai, Super Sentai sort of giant robo fiction that was going on in the 70s and 80s. And so Gundam was legitimately a critique of that, which is why it created the real robo genre of these sorts of things. Where it's like, what would actually happen if you gave teenagers death machines? And because it was so popular, they just kept using the same formula because it fucking worked. Also, Kojima also loves that plot line. Yes. I love Kojima, but I love Kojima for reasons that are entirely antithetical to art. He's an artist, 100%, but man is weird, and his writing is weird, and you gotta love him for it. Can love bloom on a battlefield? Fuck yes. Love it. Yeah, it's why Iron Blooded Orphans is centered around a unit of child soldiers, mercenary company. It's why Witch from Mercury takes place in a fucking school where they're training to become pilots. War IRL is just teenagers with death machines. That was actually the point of the series. We send our children off to die. We just made it more obvious. Yeah. All Gundams, all of Gundam is anti-war. Sometimes it's anti-corporation, but it's always anti-war. Any word on the crafting preview went? Yeah, it failed immediately. It was up for like a couple of minutes and then failed. The blueprint system wasn't working, so they had to take it down, and then they were going to. They don't have no plans on releasing it yet because they have to figure out what went wrong. Like MGS is anti-war. Yes. Or Ace Combat. All of Ace Combat is anti-war. I get so tired of manga and anime set in high schools about teenagers, not because it's a bad idea on its face, but because it's so overplayed. I cannot take it. I cannot take it anymore. Am I alone in this? Kuro. This is where it's important to remember that fundamentally, anime is still a genre for children. It's for high schoolers, but it's for kids between the ages of typically like 6 and 18. Because it was designed around the idea the people who have time and money to spend on these sorts of things are generally children who do not have to go into the workplace yet. So as a result, all of the storylines tend to be set in high school settings because that's what works. It's just a matter of expanding your look at anime to different genres. Like Vinland Saga is a fantastic thing. I forget the name of it. There's different categories, but the most popular categories tend to be the ones for children. The ones that are designed for adults, you have to kind of go looking for, but they're slightly different. They rarely have translations is the problem. Not alone. I live for anime days of the old where we did highly adult shit like Wicked City, Ghost in the Shell, 8 Men After, Cyber City Duo. I mean, Devilman Crybaby has been out for a couple years now. Devilman Crybaby is hard as shit. There's plenty of that stuff out there. Even like Freerun is a great example. It's not really designed as, adult, but it has a definitely more mature mindset. It's very, very slow paced, You write isekai novels with adult themes. Good for you. It's not like they don't exist, yeah. I know Devilman is also old, but like Devilman has always been sort of cutting edge on that one. Fuck, that show is depressing. You want adult themes, you're gonna get depression. Yeah, that's the point, Rain. There's a lot of adult-centric anime manga come out, just sift through the kid stuff. Just like there's adult-centered, not as many, but you have to often go to like France if you want to get like Western style. France is so fucking influenced by anime, it's not even funny. They don't even give a fuck. They just say, yeah, we love anime. We've loved it since the 60s. Fuck you. Mobius was a big influence on manga as well. Wasn't Mobius also influenced by Tezuka as well? This is one of those like rabbit holes I fell down, which is, and if you're French, please let me know, especially if you're in the older generation of French, if I'm right or not. But I believe that like France was one of those countries that openly and like fervently embraced early anime from like the 60s and 70s. And they played it all the fucking time on French television. And so France really, really fell down that rabbit hole. And so a lot of the animators of the 60s and 70s from France took inspiration from early Japanese anime and manga. And so a lot of the stuff that would influence things like Star Wars comes from that sort of French science fiction and like art scene. A for science. Captain Harlock, UFO, Robo Ground Zero, and more. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the stuff that, like, if you're my age, a lot of the stuff that you saw that was, like, anime adjacent, that was coming in Western animation, was from France. Like Code Lyoko, French. The Wink Club, I think, was also French. There's a bunch of, like, that sort of style and that generation of, like, early 3D and, like, 2D animation was all French. Ladybug. That one is what they, yeah. Thanks for doing the charity stream, by the way. That was awesome of you. It was fun. I always love doing that shit. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for inviting me. Those of you guys as well. That's some fascinating history. Yeah, I know. That's like that. That's what fascinated me, is that because I know there was a lot of, like, French comic, like the French comic scene is very different from the rest of like North American comic scenes, and a lot of those French comics had a huge influence on American comics, but also sort of bounced back to Japan and had a huge influence on Japanese manga. And of course, Japanese manga has a huge influence on manhwa and I forgot what it's called in China, but it's something similar, like a lot of, like, similar styles. What I'm trying to say is that in the modern world, it's very fun to trace back all of the inspirations, because basically everyone is ripping off of everybody else and has been doing so since the dawn of mankind. Because if I remember correctly, Tezuka was also, the guy who did Astro Boy, was also inspired by French animation as well as Walt Disney animation. Ulysses 31. Yes, Gundam and similar mainstream animes are written to relate to Japanese youth and teens. That's why Gundam Seed Destiny were so successful in Tokyo, but Western guys complain about it. There's a specific type of Gundam fan I've discovered as I've gone into Gundam, which is, I don't want to say neckbeard, but neckbeard adjacent. Off topic, Magic Roundabout was French. We loved that as children. Art inspires art. Not otaku. Otaku is too specific. Like the kind of people who complain about Star Wars. Yeah, Gatekeeper, that kind of stuff. Ulysses 31, I've heard that one before, yeah. Saint Seiya, Speed Racer. Oh, God, I love Speed Racer. Snob. Snob's a good way of putting it. Like, it's kind of sad that there's, like, one serious lore channel that I've discovered that really talks about, like, the universes of Gundam. The problem I have with it is that dude's kind of a dick. We're a collaborative species. We survive and thrive by working together. Well, it's also like, as communication becomes more common, it becomes easier to get access to other people's art. It becomes easy for people to be influenced by arts of other groups. And it's so fun to see it bounce all over the place. Like, it's fucked up that we stole so much of Kurosawa's work and turned it into Westerns. But it's cool as fuck that, like, you could take basically a Japanese samurai movie and translate it to a Western, to an American Western, and it just fucking works. Hey, Skylark, how you doing? I'd love to see more Mecha lore videos on Mecha from you. I have an entire new channel on YouTube that I have built, that I have not, that I have for something like that, but I'm just too fucking tired. I have too much shit to do, so I can't do another channel. But it's on YouTube. It's called The Mecha Paul. As the fucked up part is they just stole his fucking movies straight, like rip beat for beat, and didn't give him credit or money. Just kind of shit. Fuck it, make a 10th channel. It exists. I made it so I could hold on to that name. Yeah, it's called the Mecha Paul. Yeah. Let's see. Technically, I have the Spice Must Roll, which I haven't done anything for a while. There's the Astropub, which is the Astropub Live, the Captain's Table Podcast, the Astro Historian, and then I also have the Paul Shelley, which I got because it's a personal channel at some point. And then I also have the Mecha Paul. So technically, I also have a VODs channel, which I don't use. Yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 channels. I have 7 channels. It's not the channel he needs, it's time and energy, yes. The other thing I also don't want to do is to wade into Gundam stuff, because Gundam is fucking hard to follow in terms of like, because it's written, it's like Ace Combat. A lot of series are not written to follow them from the beginning. Like, we're spoiled with things like Star Citizen, Cyberpunk, even things like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, where like there is some person behind those ideas that are sort of driving things as they go. And yeah, every time you have like a new lore master or certain things change a little bit, so things sort of adjust, like with Fallout or with the Elder Scrolls. But generally speaking, the thrust is the same. They maintain the same throughput throughout. But then we have something like Universal Century Gundam was never intended to be more than the original Gundam series. So they just kind of had to retcon and make up stuff. And then they also made stuff up so they could sell products, because at the end of the day, it sells models. So there's like a lot of lore for like video games that exist for something completely that like it's set in the same universe or that kind of thing. The Mecha Paul, not to be confused with the Mecha Paul, exactly. So much lore detail for Gundam is hidden behind random things like model kit manuals, video games, etc. Yeah, it's very similar to Star Citizen. The difference is that a lot of that shit's hard to find. Yeah, lore for Gundam from drama CDs, radio broadcasts, random books, games, movies, manga, like fucking, it just goes for fucking ever. And on top of that, Sunrise is very copyright strike. They love the copyright strike shit. They just absolutely do. So it's hard to make something that's engaging. Space Dock is pretty good for that kind of stuff. Bro, you're closing it on ESPN levels. Only like, in terms of active channels, there's only 3 active channels that I have. Pulling this back to Star Citizen, though. It's been an interesting slow month. Because really, it has been the slow month. Like, don't get me wrong, it's been a slow month. Because we've really only had 4.6 for a couple of weeks. Or for like a week. And it's likely to release this week or next week. Sure. It should be published. This is the channel. For those of you who are interested. It's literally just, they haven't uploaded anything. There's no followers. Twisted Dimension release, but so hopefully, apparently they stop using Norse names for the release. When they get closer to the release, they use regular names. So yeah. What's the Javelin look like now? Show me. What do you mean? The last song we saw of the Javelin was from Squadron. Still got the tuning fork tops. Oh, I didn't see that Force Science actually joined us. Hello, everyone from Force Science. I was just talking about random shit. Thank you for the like follower. It doesn't notify me when that happens. Yeah, it was a slow month for Star Citizen. That's what I mean, not IRL. Yeah. You gave us the wrong link. That's the link, as far as I know. No, there's someone just subscribed to me just now. Oh, it's studio. Okay, let me try this one. Here, this should work. Try that link. I wonder how Nyx being terraformed is going to shift the lore in the future. It's an interesting idea. I think the main idea behind the lore for Nyx being terraformed is that CIG wants to start terraforming or making more planets have habitable environments. I'd love for CIG to actually terraform Venus, because that would be cool. Just in general. This channel has no content, but I still sub. I haven't done any content for it. The goal of the Mecha Paul is for me to just talk more about robots and mecha. Like, the stupid idea that I have in the back of my mind is a history of the origin of mecha. Where does mecha come from originally? You know, people talk about Gundam, but Gundam isn't the first robot anything. Like, there's Astro Boy had stuff like that. There's robots and, you know, the old Superman cartoon from the 40s famously had those giant robots. Like the serials in the 30s and 40s had like giant robots kind of doing things. Do you like Armored Core? I haven't played Armored Core. My first Armored Core will be Armored Core 6. I have it. I just have to play it at some point. Metropolis, etc., yeah. Flash Gordon serials, yeah. Does the UEE do anything with Jupiter? It's a refueling station, as far as I know. They use it to refuel hydrogen. There are settlements on the moons of Jupiter. They're all from the Hurricane Bend. You could even cover Akula Khan from Morrowind. I've been in an Elder Scrolls lore kick recently. Oh yeah, what's the one that's the from Elder Scrolls 1 from Arena, where like you can activate a giant fucking robot that kills that they created a dragon break? That's a good one. Then I suggest making a deep dive in history of the Macross Robotech mecha. It'd be very interesting to know the based off of real world aircraft. I mean, yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like I can do a lot of things. Like I can talk about the history of BattleTech, where that came from originally. I can talk about Armored Core. I could talk about Gundam. I could talk about The other famous giant robo series and where they came from and who did them. I could talk about things like Starship Troopers and how that came about, like, its influence on the mecha genre. That was the whole idea behind it. Is that I want a channel where I can just talk about fucking robots because I'm broken. Robotech, aka Macross. Now my brain got super rude for a second, zoomed into the section of I am making this channel so I can talk more. No, your brain's not wrong. That's totally true. I just need to like actually focus because I end up talking about this kind of shit on the captain's table or the captain's table on office hours, and it's just like I know you all love hearing it, so you're okay with it, which I'm eternally grateful for. But I'm supposed to talk about Star Citizen stuff, which I do. But when it gets to where it is now, it's important. It's important to talk about that kind of stuff. What inspired Asimov for his robot stories? Exactly. I love Pat LeBur. I love the fact that Pat LeBur is coming back too. The Midian, Paul. Tiber's giant robot that presumably helped conquer Tamriel. Yeah, the Midian. Thank you, Jaded. Love that. Armored Core will be expensive to get. I remember the days when older AC games were everywhere for $5. Well, like, I'm not gonna go, like, I love Ace Combat, but I'm never gonna go back and like buy Ace Combat 1 through 3. But I will get like Ace Combat. I'll get like a PS2 at some point to play Ace Combat 4, 5, and 6, or 4 and 5, or 4, 5, and 0. Yeah, the Engine Center, Evangelion, Gurren Lagann. With all these other YouTube channels in the future, it sounds like you have your eventual retirement plan. Exactly. I'll play DCS at some point. Speaking of Mecha Break is still fire. I have to get back into Mecha Break at some point as well. There's an Ace Combat campaign in DCS. There is. I've seen people do cinematics for it, for like the Ace Combat 7. Heck, it might be harder to get AC 1 through 3 to run than actually play them. You just need a PS1. They're all PS1 games. I remember there was Operation Dual Wielder. Was one of the DCS campaigns, which is just the dual wielder mission from Ace 7, complete with Arsenal Bird, giant fucking drone carrier. Oh Lord, did I accidentally log into Paul's Mecha channel office hours? Yes, to a degree. PS2s are still fairly regularly available. I could probably go to like a flea market and find them secondhand pretty easily. They made a fuck ton of PS2s, guys. A fuck ton. I never had a PS2, so... Oh, Daredevil fucking is amazing. Dual Wielder is just Daredevil squared, though. That thing fucking slaps. I swear to God, that's like at least 30 to 40% of the success of Ace Combat is because of its score is just so fucking good. It is so unbelievably good. To the point where I was hearing it like, if you listen to the score of Witch from Mercury for Gundam, I thought it was the same. I legitimately thought it was the same person who scored Ace Combat. So it's like, wait, no way. This is the same beats, the same feel, and I'm like, oh, they're taking inspiration from Ace Combat. Like, it's clear that there's some like nod there. I'll take it back. I did play an Armored Core game, but it was not Armored Core. The Armored Core game I played was Chrome Hounds, which was FromSoft's MMO. That shit slapped. Marco Meatball became an Ace Combat show because of the music. I've fallen down many a rabbit hole with Marco Meatball on that. I was listening to music, to some of the music, because I was trying to tell my wife about why I love Ace Combat. She's a long-suffering, ever-suffering, my wife. Raid, welcome everyone from Mount Mars Stream. My name is Paul, Berserker 1 Batman Show, your humble host, Space Bartender here at the Astropod. Space Bar at the end of the Twitch. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How you doing? How's it going, Astro? Going good. We're talking a lot about Mecha. Now, this is where I pull this all back into Star Citizen and say, this is the year of the Titan suit. I believe, chat. I believe. Squadron 42 is coming out this year. It's so perfect. It's such the perfect like suit to release or thing to release for Invictus. We don't have a military inspired ship that we know of or vehicle that we know of that's small. Fucking pull out the goddamn Zeus suit. Giant robots on Serial in the 60s were not Mecha. They're called Giant Robo or something like that, if I remember correctly. I'm sort of using a reverse term, because the term itself has kind of evolved beyond what it was originally designed for in Japan. Because if I remember correctly, Mecha is just a catch-all Japanese term for just anything mechanized. So like a fucking tank is Mecha. Kind of like anime is just cartoon. Animation. But like it's evolved beyond its original term. So it's sort of just like anything with a big robot in it is sort of become known as Mecha, whether you pilot it or not. Not the Javelin? Possibly the Javelin, but the Javelin, you gotta remember there's a scale for sales. CIG likes to have small things, medium things, large things, and big, like very big things for their big sales, like Invictus and for IAE. A Star Citizenship is a mecha technically, yeah. I mean, it's just the term doesn't matter as much as how it's evolved. Predictions and timing for the price. Prediction on timing and price for the sale of the Hermes. Whenever 4.6 goes live, probably next week. Originally thought it was gonna be this week, but I guess it's gonna be next week. And price, I don't know, $200. I heard the crafting preview got pulled. Yes, so it just the blueprints didn't work, so they had to pull it off. But we knew a lot about. I read through the patch notes to kind of explain how it works. What's your thoughts on FTL communications coming to the verse? Oh yeah, well I still have this up actually. I'll show you. This is 100% CIG's lore justification, excuse me, for social tools. This is their way of saying we're doing the social tools, and this is the lore behind it. Nah, hopefully he's not in 4.6. Do you think Stream Frame will work well with Star Citizen? It'll probably work okay. Which, if you're asking my like opinion on like the lore, it makes sense. It's fine. It's new. It's designed to justify the gameplay. That's the only reason they'd write the lore in the first place, if it justifies gameplay. And so, what would gameplay require for us to have fashion light communications? Social tools. The blueprints, the actual things you need to know what materials to require, and they didn't work? No, you could still figure out what you could build or what you couldn't build. You just couldn't use the blueprints and attach them. Do you think they're coming sooner because of hinting at the loading screen? No, not really, because we were seeing hints at the regen crisis as far back as like February of last year, where the regen crisis didn't really start hitting until like July. So this could easily come out in like May, June, probably more like July. Devs could use blueprints, Evos could not, effectively, yeah. I saw some people complaining FTL comms lore kind of hit the comms lore kind of hit the lore of for data running a bit, not or hurt the lore for data running a bit. Not quite sure it really hits as hard as they make it out to be, but we have verified courier services today. They're like the USPS still works. And especially if you're in remote places where you need to get something from point A to point B fast. Didn't they check it before sending it to Evo? No, of course not. But as always, as I've been saying for this entire time, typically the first time they release anything into tech preview, it doesn't work. They almost always fuck up in the first tech preview. The question is, how quickly does it turn around? If we see a turnaround in like a couple of weeks, that's usually a good sign. That means they kind of they're getting things functioning properly. Why do we have postal service and era of FTP and live streaming? Exactly, yeah. Had a severe case of scuffed citizen over at Christie's, just trying to play the game. Yeah, that's kind of where it is right now. I've heard that there's been some problems with the live branch a lot, so. And have folks that almost crew an Idris with the flight crew went to shit. Yeah, that tends to happen. Back-to-back 3 server errors. Oof. Yeah, PTU has been bad. But usually when PTU is bad, the live services tend to be bad. My guess is, are you checked out of Star Citizen? Yeah, kind of not. I've been more into doing lore stuff for Star Citizen than playing recently. I'm waiting for 4.6 to release. There's not a lot of stuff in, and there's a lot of problems with the game right now. So it's really hard to just sort of enjoy the game. I did enjoy what we played on Saturday, though. I did a charity stream, the, what is it called? Combat for a Cause, Survivor Island, where it was me and 9 other content creators were dropped on an island with loot. Like, basically dropped on an island naked, looking for loot. And then did sort of like a battle royale thing where we were pushed into a center area. It's okay. You can say yes. Well, checked out implies like I'm not interested in it anymore. And I am interested. It's just not in the same way that somebody who would be hardcore playing the game would be. One of my problems, it's just been around the problem for like months, is that I have 400 million AUEC. Like, there's nothing for me to do. Like, I can't really unlock anything, and most of the content I've already done sort of ground out everything. I have no idea how Mike Cutlet and Vertigo do it for a living or stream in general. I don't either, man. I just, like, I couldn't do live streaming for a living. If I did content for a living, it would be live streaming would support YouTubing. It's much easier to do write, record, and edit a video than it is to stream live. All the creds and no legit time sinks. Yeah. To be fair, Mike is a full-time streamer, but YouTube makes him more money if I recall correctly. I don't doubt it, man. I had a really good month, a series of months between November and December for the Astro Historian, and holy fuck, I've never seen that much money from YouTube, especially. I just didn't know where the fuck it came from. So if you're doing something content like Mike on a regular basis, where, like, you know, one of your videos is doing 10 to 20K for a reaction video every week, then you're looking at he's looking at a decent amount of money. The problem about that sort of grind is that you can't get off it ever if you want to keep making money. I think you should do Warcraft lore. I love Warcraft lore. I'm so fucking invested in Warcraft lore. But I stopped following it because I couldn't keep up with all of the World of Warcraft updates. The problem with Warcraft lore, though, is that it's not science fiction. I would need to make another channel, which wouldn't do well. Warcraft lore is fucking wonky. I know, that's why I love it. I love wonky shit. 40K, there's so many 40K channels. I have a goal of making a 40K video that is sort of the ultimate beginner's guide to 40K, the 40K universe. Not that's something that's super memey or super funny, not something that's super in-depth like a Luton video. Not a Bricky video, not a Luton video, but somewhere in between. Take the stuff that I do with like Star Citizen, where I kind of like try to break down the universe in understandable chunks, the sort of style that I do, in a way for people to understand it. I'm trying to do that right now with BattleTech. I've been getting out that every so often, so. Maybe Paul Wollstonecraft. If I did Warcraft, it would be in a different channel, and it would be with like Elder Scrolls. Let the year of Yeet reign. Yes. Elder Scroll lore is literally batshit bullshit. Oh yeah. Fun fact, Beyond the Verse podcast, if you follow that, originally was a lore channel for the Elder Scrolls Online. Originally, he was doing a lore channel for Elder Scrolls Online. I didn't know that. It was a bit like a podcast for that. I was like, that's neat. Didn't know that. Paul, if you get me into Warhammer because I end up loving content you create for the universe, I will come for you. Okay, do not come. Don't come. Just think, I should think YouTube content creation is fairly competitive thing, especially if you have a certain level of subs and followers and members to earn a modest, decent from it. Most of the people who do are people who've created content and kind of a community where they have like a Patreon and they can sort of live off of that Patreon while doing videos and hiring people. Like H Bomber guy does like what? One video every year or two, but it's like a 6-hour video and he makes his entire living off of that. There are some content creators who are just so fucking good at what they do that they make a video that earns them like $1 million a year because people just watch it over and over again. Yes, the tech preview got pulled. It was it didn't. Or Luna's asking if it didn't. Yeah, there's been tech previews that get pulled pretty quickly. Usually though, they have a good turnaround time. Like the last one that I can remember that got pulled really suddenly was the object, or it was the server meshing one that they pulled almost immediately because it had super stability issues. But they were able to like turn that around within a couple of days and release another one. This one, they just basically said, we don't know what the fuck's going on. We're going to try to fix it. So no, we do not have an idea of what's wrong with this. Was it the engineering one? It might have been the engineering one. Man, I am not getting back into WoW. You're not going to drag my ass back into WoW. He spends multiple years digging up research for one feature-length video. Yeah, and he has to make a living off of it somehow. No, I'm not joining Logan in WoW. I haven't played WoW in fucking forever. I'm not going back into WoW. I was literally into WoW in vanilla WoW. I still have my discs somewhere. If I can find it, I have like an old disc sort of organizer where I have all of the install discs for WoW. Vanilla WoW. I got it like a month after it came out. At a GameStop of all places. And played it. Played it to death. But I played it until I reached about like level 25 to 30 over the course of like a week. And then I never really got involved in other orgs, like or other guilds or anything like that. I never really did anything beyond dungeons. And because I never really found anybody to play with, I just sort of stopped playing. TBC is coming out? What's TBC? Yeah, I've heard it has player housing. I was 10 when WoW was. God damn, I feel old now. I was 18 when it was released. I haven't seen Diesel Knights, but I've heard of it. I'm interested in seeing where it goes. The problem I've always had with I've come to realize the Burning Crusade. Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually didn't get any of the expansions, I don't think. And like I stopped playing WoW before any of the expansions. So 446 live next week? I kind of figured it was Friday this week. Yeah, that's what I did too, but sounds like it's going to be next week. Honestly, didn't need it. Played WoW from beta, Battle for Azeroth. I always remember, like, specifically leaving WoW, and when I came back to WoW for a brief moment, the thing that made me actually fall in love with the MMO genre was I came back to WoW, and there were these floating pyramids over all of the major like cities, and there were like huge, like high level players running around killing these huge, like, high level mobs inside the main cities. I was like, I have no fucking idea what's going on, but I'm fucking scared, and I love this. It was before the Lich King launch, though, right? There was like the prelude to the Lich King launch. Wrath? Okay. Paul, you should get into the ground floor of the Hightail lore tuber. Is Hightail got fucking story? I thought it was just sort of Minecraft plus. I'll check it out. The cinematics team at Blizzard is fucking amazing. Pirate Software's dad is always good. I'm glad they actually got to release it, though. That team's been talented. They did a lot of work with they did a lot of work with Minecraft. They did a lot of modding work, and so like a lot of the, like, I think they ran the most popular Minecraft server period. So I will leave off with this, because I'm going to wrap this up here. I was going to do a capsule, but I think I'm going to save it for later. I'll leave off with this. One of the things I hope that Star Citizen learns from is World of Warcraft. That, like I said, that moment of seeing those flying pyramids over the main cities and seeing these high-level mobs spawning and these huge, these like max level adventurers coming back to go defeat these mobs while I'm just like level 30, being like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. That sort of thing as a lead up to a major expansion is brilliant. And CIG could do those things in the future. And I wish they would. Because those sorts of set piece events are cool as fuck and they're interesting. They're fun to play around with. Because it gives you context that the universe is not static, it's dynamic, things are changing. So, like, an example would be going to one of the stations, maybe like the Pyro station, the Pyro gateway in Nyx, and it's just Vanduul. The station doesn't work. You can't land at the station. You land at the station, manage to land at the station, get in. It's completely dark and it's filled with Vanduul. And the whole station is swarming with Vanduul ships all over the place. And there's more coming in. There's no mission, there's no story, there's nothing there. There's just fucking Vanduul everywhere. And you have like maybe the NPCs at like Levski being like, I heard the Pyro station's been completely taken over by Vanduuls. Oh, that's crazy, kind of thing. Not necessarily pirate players, but like pirate NPCs. Just things that shake up the status quo. The problem I have right now is that I don't think CIG has the balls to do it. They don't have the guts to interrupt players' gameplay to tell a story. To be fair with some of the community, I don't blame them too much. The problem I have right now is that CIG are cowards. They don't take risks. And by not taking risks, they make boring shit. They could improve this. And they have the talent to tell good, decent stories, to have interesting gameplay, but there's nothing really beyond the scale and scope of Star Citizen that really brings the awe and the attention. There's no real flexing of the muscle to show like what the developers are capable of doing. And part of that is technical limitations. But we're 2026. They're like within 10 months of releasing Squadron 42. They should have a lot of those technical limitations either dealt with or in the process of being dealt with. So having something dynamic and interesting that's not just a set piece that you can come in and come out of would work. Because I think that CIG right now is too reliant on theme park elements in their sandbox. Anything to do is going to tick somebody off. So if they're afraid of doing anything, but they need to do stuff they won't like, take a stand for something. Yeah, exactly. Haven't the broken sword, Shattered Blade, got something to do with this new fleet thing? You're taking on their station, and the Vanduul are also hammering the station, and your fleet or fleets are clearing the way. Kind of, yeah. It's sort of deal with that. But that's sort of its own encapsulated story that CIG is never going to remove. Kind of like Hathor or any of the ASD lines like Onyx and Lazarus. Like those will always be there for players to deal with. So that's more of like a dungeon or just like a big quest than it is a event. NPC services is ready for advanced behavior yet. Look at bartenders. They don't need advanced behaviors to just to spawn a couple of Vanduul melee combatants inside of a station, turn off the lights, and add some smoke effects. Just dress up a station like it's being attacked. Add some dead bodies everywhere, and then have like Vanduul ships spawn in an area. Like that's something they can do now. All that shit is within their capabilities right now of doing. And they have NPCs being able to have conversations. They can slip in conversations about Vanduul attacking this station. I'm saying that sort of thing would engage the player base more. Even if it was a failure, if it was an attempt, it would go for much further than anything they've done before. I think they'd get a lot more, like the big thing. CIG has been heavily hinting at the UEE and Nyx going to war. The UEE and the People's Alliance getting into active shooting war. And if they did that in reality and allowed us to pick sides, none of this like, oh, the bad guys are here to stop you, like actual fucking conflict, I would give them so much fucking respect. Like, give this player base a civil war. Yes. Going back to dynamic entry events, they could have UEE battle groups blockading Levski. Exactly. This is not shit that's like fucking rocket science. They've showed all of this shit off in the game before. Is it going to work perfectly? No, it'll never work fucking perfectly. But, do something. Honestly, probably the smartest thing Blizzard did. Two separate player faction, always pit it against each other. I think there's so little content they can't afford to have branching reps. They could, I could tell you how they would write that story. You would have two different sides fighting over the future of Levski, and in the middle of that conflict, the Vanduul would attack, and you'd have to go deal with the Vanduul. So basically, the slate would be wiped clean, and you'd go deal with the Vanduul. There might be some lingering aspect where, there's a UEE advisory council that sits in Levski that helps Levski out if the UEE was the one who won. And if Levski won, then maybe the UEE would, there would be a PAL officer, advisory officer on a UEE battle group as a liaison officer. Something like that, where you could just have a little tiny thing, but actually giving players stakes. Telling people this is a fucking fight. Pick a side. You show up at Levski, there's going to be a fucking war. Is it important to do this type of content before Squadron 42 releases? Would such events distract from the release? Absolutely not. If anything, it would drive more attention to the release. Giving people this sort of choice and this sorts of spectacles would drive more people to being oh, I want to pay attention, I want to play this game because they're doing something cool here. And then that would be an easy thing for them to parlay into attention for Squadron. Just got here. I think the Liberator will have round refuel capability. I hope so. I don't think we're going to see Nyx and Levski become UEE because in 1.0 it needs to be independent. Like that's its whole shtick. It's like 1.0, after 1.0 they might change things, but at 1.0 it's going to have to be independent for the storyline. So if they're going to do that, then Levski needs to stay neutral. So there are ways to keep Levski neutral, but have interesting storylines that kind of talk about those sorts of things. So again, borrowing design decision is a bad thing. There's a fuck ton of people who used to work at Blizzard who work at CIG too. It's not like it's, it doesn't happen. Yeah, Nyx needs to be a somewhat unlawful system that isn't chaos. I will say the reason why I want that is because A, CIG is hinting at it, and B, if they do, remember Anthony Tanaka. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't think Levski's great. I think a lot of the PAL is a bunch of bastards. But that'll be a cold day in hell if I support the UEE imperially taking over Levski. My home until Bremen, not Bremen, Bremen, but until Magnus comes out. I think Levski will be the new Wild West with land claims and Homestead Act, the Nyx 1. I think something like that will happen, yes. Yeah, we haven't talked about it, but the boiler explosion in Rockstar North is insane. They've just been hitting with bad luck and bad decisions over and over again. At this point, it would be a miracle if GTA didn't slip at least a few weeks, if not a month. They're fucking the main studio where they make their goddamn games exploded. No one got hurt, thankfully, but yeah, one of their boilers at Rockstar North exploded. No one got hurt, no one's dead, but we don't know the damage that's been done yet. Like today, yeah. Today or yesterday. It happened recently. There's talk of structural damage, yeah. It's last night, yeah. Thank you, Northern Trooper. It kept the game filed by the boiler. Well, you can never know. Like, there was the Hello Games got flooded. If you remember that when they were making No Man's Sky. I don't think the flood waters reached to their computers, but it definitely ruined basically their whole thing. I can imagine a boiler explosion would probably do so. It did structural damage to the studio. Probably did some damage to their gear. Rockstar North, are they part of the GTA 6 dev team? They are the GTA 6 dev team. That's who makes GTA is Rockstar North. Oh no, at Astropub, the Hello Games found out that MacBooks float. wonder if Nyx would end up with good terms on Terra-centric UEE. That'd be an interesting tension between Nyx and Castra. Nyx is never going to be on good terms with anybody. They are too fucking paranoid. Like, I can already tell you that the people of Nyx, the People's Alliance, sees Terra as equally corrupt as Earth, as Sol, because they're just more. They're like, what's the term? Scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. It's that kind of thing. Like they believe that that like even if they're more amenable to the People's Alliance's sort of viewpoint in the universe, they're still very corporate centered. But they might make a committee for winning over everybody. They would. Fans aren't just too snooty. They're fucking rich. They're entirely corporate, like severely corporate. The fight between Terra and Earth is a billionaire trillionaire fight between corporations. It's not really anything else other than where should the capital be, and which corporation should benefit from that process. Roxxon Earth is open and operational according to their afternoon statement. We'll see. I'm sure something like that isn't going to be really felt until later on, but yeah. It's Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg throwing bundles of cash at each other. Kind of, yeah. It's basically, who do you want to support? The oligarchs of Anvil, Origin, and Bearing, or the oligarchs of Aegis, RSI, and think of like anything else. Tumbril, I guess. Tumbril's in Sci-fi though. Argo, yeah. Which oligarchs do you like the most? It's pretty much what it is. I'll stick with whatever brand lets me have a light switch for the cockpit, which so far is only Drake. Because Drake is best. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. Hit that follow button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the like button if you're watching this after the fact. And leave your comments below. Anything we talked about. I'll be back on Thursday. We're going to be doing streaming on Thursday. Not in office hours, but the stream on Thursday. It'll be probably gameplay. We'll do a little bit, probably 2 hours or so. Just because I missed Friday and Sunday because of complications. And then we'll be back on Friday. Saturday's going to be a little... No, this Saturday's fine. This Saturday's fine. I got to contact the people who are going to be part of it, but we're going to be talking about PvP in Star Citizen and the Captain's Table. We've got Bops, Non-Stop Bops. We've got Raptor X. I'm going to reach out to folks at Avenger Squadron, see if anyone wants to come talk about PvP in Star Citizen. The idea being like this PvP in Star Citizen and combat in Star Citizen, not just PvP in general, in 2026. How is it now? What should we see in the future? And how will it look like at like 1.0? Yeah, it should be spicy. It's gonna be interesting to hear the opinions on it. As somebody who only tangentially participates in combat, as I've been said, I am apparently the space dad. when Avenger thinks of space dads, it is me. Even though, as anyone who's seen me, I have no problem getting down and dirty in PvP. Space Bandit steals Carracks. Just saying. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.